down to this. Cloud9 versus TSM about to be decided right here. Game 5, ready to start in a second. Oh, it's gonna be great.
Yes, sir. I mean,
be more hype.
we have the rematch from the for the summer finals from last year, and then tomorrow we also have a rematch of our finals from this year from spring. So it's like we're gonna get triple finals in a row.
It's absolutely true. This is going to be insanely hype. Cloud9 have had their playoffs ended by TSM in 5 of their last 7 playoff runs.
He's pumped.
Svenskeren, the one on screen right there, sometimes the one to do it when he played on TSM last year, but Goldenglue, in his first ever LCS playoff game, took down Bjergsen and TSM, was part of the team that did it, and he's now staying in there. You can see the champions from so long ago. TSM win so much more than the C9 have, but it's their time to add a banner back up on top.
Goldenglue has never lost a playoff game in his whole life. Going into game 5, pretty good stat.
Great. Nor has Grig or Zeyzal ever lost a playoff series, so who knows, it could get insane as time moves on. And once again, it is C9's choice of side for game 5. They have chosen blue. They have kept the same roster that won in game 4, and they are keeping a lot of the same bans from before as well, getting rid of that Mithy Shen, dropping off that Akali on blue side, getting rid of Olaf so that Grig cannot just play a hard farm.
I'm very curious to see if TSM is going to take away Varus, because that has been actually both of the wins for C9, and I think it was extremely important. Really, the Quinn did not work out as well, not because he did poor in lane or anything, but they didn't have the consistent teamfight damage. Varus has given them that. TSM also identified the same, and boom. Yeah. There's another team fighter for you.
Yeah, he's going to be building towards the Rage Blade. This might be a completely different look from the beginning of this series, right? Cloud9 already could go much later. Doesn't have to be super early game oriented. But again, we're only one champion into the draft. The other big thing, of course, was the Tahm Kench for Mithy, right? They switched out the ban. They're banning away the Shen now that he was using in place of it. But again, it has been let through.
We could potentially see Swain Pyke. I would not be shocked to see a Pyke come through. That is traditionally another really good kind of support for that Swain, being able to proc your passive pull off of the Swain hook.
He's played it twice before, so could certainly be an option for Mithy here. Svenskeren once again on the Lee Sin hover. But we had a great game on Graves before anyway. Lock it in yell from the audience. We'll wait to see what Cloud9 wants to do. What is their look for this composition? And they might just stick with double marksman, which might mean we have 5 straight Ornn games for Licorice.
Svenskeren did look very comfortable on the Graves in the last game. Controlling a lot early.
All right.
Meanwhile, Zeyzal on the Leona, not quite so comfortable.
No, he really did not look that at home the last time around, but they have the confidence that he can step up and hit it this time. I also think it's even more important when you're playing alongside the Kai'Sa that you do land the stun, not just the slow, because that procs the plasma, which allows Kai'Sa to then dive in and follow up. So you really have to be on point with that. Anytime you're fighting against Swain, it's that much more important. You got to burst that guy down or you're not killing him.
TSM grabbed the Irelia at the end of the first round of picks. Now they get a couple of bans to shelter this mid lane grab. It can always be flex still. We can see Swain mid, we can't see Irelia top, unlikely as it would be.
I'm still waiting for the LeBlanc pick in this matchup, though. I want to see some more damage flying around here. Now that the Irelia has already been blinded by Bjergsen, though, it's going to be an easy ban for them.
Yep. All right, well, second ban phase is going to come through. We'll see what else Sienna wants to get rid of. No top laner support grabbed yet for TSM.
I'm pretty curious to see if TSM actually does take away the Ornn for themselves this time around. And you could actually go for that Ornn as your 4th pick if you wanted to kind of deny that from Licorice and you don't feel like spending a ban. Now, it is a very consistent form of engage, and I think especially alongside a double marksman composition is really, really strong. Also interested to see what they would kind of bring out here for Goldenglue alongside this double marksman. They're not going to have that kind of Ardent Sensor support from the bottom lane, so do they have any interest in something like a Lulu perhaps from the mid lane?
Well, the mid lane bans are going to be Galio and LeBlanc, so that Lulu is still available if he wants it. Can't say no the Irelia matchup that well, but we'll see what he wants to do about this one. TSM will get first dibs on champions, and then Cloud9 will lock in their composition, and TSM get their final counter pick. C9's time ticks down for their final ban. What are they most afraid of? And another Dr. Mundo ban almost every single game. They've removed that from Hauntzer. TSM got to blind something here. And yeah, they might just take that Ornn away, as you surmised.
I just think it makes sense, right? Both the Varus and the Ornn have been, you know, critical parts of the composition in both of C9's wins. Hauntzer has not been having as much effectiveness in the split push style. He had a great GP game, but that was more about the team fight. So if you're not going to split, then take the Ornn away. The question becomes, is Licorice willing to go for a lane-focused counterpick? Is C9 willing to try to be the ones to split the map, or are they going to just take the other side of it and go for something like that Scion?
Yeah, I don't think they can at this point, having locked in 2 marksmen already.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so difficult to pull that sort of composition off later if you have 2 you know, ranged DPS. So here we are. It is going to be the Poppy. Licorice did have an amazing Poppy game early on in the season, trying to carry Cloud9 and get that victory. He was getting solo kills, peeling for the team, or pretty much everything you possibly can. And once again, it will be Goldenglue on the Malzahar, providing that crowd control for the team and the setup.
And not only does the Poppy stop the Ornn ultimate, that second half of the ultimate, when he tries to redirect it, you can block that. You can stop the Blade Surge there from Irelia, the Q forward from Sejuani. You could stop the Body Slam if that's going to be the Gragas support. Gragas support has been gaining a lot of popularity in Challenger solo queue that I have seen as a playmaker. Also pairs well with the Swain. This is pretty exciting.
Big thing to keep in mind is that Poppy can only stop 1 dash per activation of the ability though, so will not be able to shut down the entire team at once, and does have to get in range to do that.
We'll see what comes through into this one. I want to see how much Gragas can stop Leona Jin, and if Cloud9 can continue to play a team fight style. When Sneaky was on a team fighter, they won. When he was on Quinn, they lost. Of course, there's a lot of details in this game. Grig also undefeated on this Sejuani in the matchup as well.
Yeah, we have seen, you know, support Gragas in a couple of leagues. After the Pyke game that Mithy did play, I remember he was very disappointed in his own play, and he tweeted out Pyke is too hard or something like that, haven't had enough time on it. So we get a little variation, but the theory remains the same here. You can try and set up the Swain with your crowd control for the pull-in.
The question for me is, how much has he really practiced Gragas? Because Gragas is one of the champions that I feel can actually hurt your team with poorly used abilities. The ultimate, when placed perfectly, split up the team, knock someone in, great, knock them down. But you can also be saving people with those ultimates. You can also really be disrupting the team fight for your own side. So Mithy has to be practiced on this pick, has to be confident.
I trust he is. And a match this important. Climactic Game 5. Goldenglue versus Bjergsen, the mid lane match to determine who is the first team from North America to make the 2018 Summer Finals. Zeyzal, second place rookie of the split, joining in, helping to rise C9 to the second place seed. And they will do battle with TSM one final time today to determine who will be in the finals.
And what a series this has been. Exciting from start until now.
And Bjergsen, he called it before the series started. He's saying he thinks this is going to be the closest series yet. It has been so back and forth. No game has been dominated by either side, and it is really up in the air. Game 5, semifinals. Couldn't ask for more than this.
All right, now let's focus in. Remember what happened last game in the start. They subbed him in. Grig immediately went for a red invade, something he had not tried against Blabber. Then he immediately also ganked mid lane and killed Goldenglue. So TSM tried to put pressure onto the 2 guys that were immediately subbed in. However, Cloud9 weathered the storm. They were able to push it to this Game 5. And they will be expecting a little bit more aggression now.
Gonna go for that ward. Goldenglue around the wings. No stun to be had. All right. No aggressive wards coming out of TSM on that one. Just the one for Svenskeren. He's going to be heading towards the bottom side. He'll be leashed by his dual lane on his red buff. It's going to be a red leash for Grig as well. He'll be getting help from Hauntzer's Ornn.
And this is really taking me back to the 2017 Spring Finals. This was actually C9 TSM. It was Smoothie back then for C9 who brought out the Gragas support pocket pick. And that was actually what pushed it to a Game 5 for them. So it's pretty cool to see this come full circle. It's a Game 5. It's now TSM bringing out that support Gragas.
Looking to push Cloud9 out of the playoffs and themselves into finals. be the first team there awaiting someone in Oakland.
And of course, we'll see the loser in the regional qualifier as well as the third place match. They're both heading to Northern California, but you'd rather come in as victors than losers.
So one question already has been answered for me about this Gragas. It is a Spell Thief's Gragas. I have seen some varying builds. Some have been actually fairly heavy on kind of tanky AP style of builds. The Q-Max in lane is actually pretty good for harass as, oh, actually connected that stun. That is a huge trade.
Yep.
Gets big reaction from the audience, tags him on the end of this wall. And Licorice is saying, yeah, you can take my Ornn, but not gonna be able to have the same effect as me.
Licorice has been a insanely dominant laner in North America, and now not playing quite so weak a laner as Ornn, having a little bit better time of it as we look in the bottom side, and so far nothing too aggressive happening just yet, as Bjergsen and Goldenglue also trade blows. Health bar staying high.
Statistically, he's been the best laner in the NALCS. You know, top lane was up around 7 CSD at 15, I do believe. Really, really impressive stats.
Right now we've got Grig trailing Svenskeren on the invade though. Sees him on the Krugs and there will be a collapse. Hauntzer heads over.
Hauntzer's gonna be here. Grig as well. They find the first bit of damage here. Could there be more of a knockup? They're gonna find that first stun. Even more damage coming across, but now a tackle in. Can they burn down the Ornn? Hauntzer flashes over, stays alive. Gonna look at the mid lane. Goldenglue's getting burned down. Good damage out of Bjergsen, getting the better of that trade.
Yeah, even though Cloud9 win the trade on the top side.
Fight goes to Grig again. But look how low Hauntzer is.
Oh, they're
Gotta
gonna
be careful.
dive.
Look how much damage they've dealt to him.
Red
Does
buff
Licorice
burn.
have the tackle?
Red buff burn is still on Grig.
They can put some damage in the flash forward. They're gonna knock down Svenskeren. First blood is traded back by Licorice. Will be stunned and hit, and he might just go down. One more hit will do him in. The W comes up. It's kited away. The Q's in 2 seconds. It's up in 1. He's gonna find the tackle and grab the kill. 2-1 TSM.
Because Svenskeren auto-attacked Grig first, the red buff was still on him. When he got into tower range, the turret shot immediately went onto Svenskeren, and they lose out on the first blood bonus.
Such a risky play there for C9. They decide to make the call here. Hauntzer very low. They want to go for the dive.
Yeah, look how much work Licorice does, chipping Hauntzer down under the turret here. Then he calls Svenskeren, he heads on over, one more hammer shock. These auto attacks apply the red buff, so there you go. First tower shot comes in so early, and that's what gives up the first blood bonus there. Then allows Grig here follow up with number 2, even though Licorice sidesteps this W.
Yeah, I mean, it was a small thing, but ends up being a pretty big mistake. You know, not thinking about the red buff being on Grig, he was really focused on the fact that he had not yet hit the tank, had not yet hit Hauntzer. And it is 2 kills going over the way of TSM, but they do at least trade one back. Gold is still fairly even. And one thing going for Licorice is that the wave was under Hauntzer's turret, so he was missing out on some of that gold and experience.
Licorice will still look good individually here as far as gold's concerned. And OK and XP as well, now finding a nice body slam. That is what that pick was supposed to do, and it looks pretty nice there. Now finding a fight in the top side. It's going to be collapsing down on Svenskeren. He could be killed right away. Assault's not going to be enough as TSM find their 3rd kill.
Bjergsen's Irelia has been a problem for many teams throughout the last half of the split. Now he's got a kill for himself as well. And once again, a Sejuani Irelia pairing works so well, so much CC he can bring to the table.
Goldenglue have to walk through this, take another stun, take a lot of damage, and they're gonna go right under the turret. TSM look for number 4.
Cancel the auto.
Bjergsen has to flash away, they don't get it.
He checked himself, didn't want to commit fully under the turret. He does get out alive, but has to blow his flash.
He can ult!
Oh, but he has no flash to reach the target. Grig's gonna stay alive through Malefic Visions.
The ult range is pretty long. He was very close to actually being in range of Bjergsen to ult and get that solo kill. Would have been huge.
This could be a kill on the Hauntzer. He's got no way out if he lands the point blank ult for the 2nd Q. This could be the damage. When's the tackle coming up? It's still 2 seconds away. And he's not gonna go for it. Doesn't quite have the damage to kill off Hauntzer.
Svenskeren is here though. The junglers have been attracted to the top lane fight.
Smites for a health, an easy pickup for Svenskeren, gets rid of the rest of these Krugs, and now level 6 on Ornn. Meanwhile, Mithy's gonna get found out for a stun into root, into burst damage, and the bot lane is alive for Cloud9, looking for a bit more on his Zven.
What an aggressive play there from Zeyzal, jumping straight out of the bush, flash ignite. He couldn't even get the aftershock proc up there, so he just goes straight down. They're looking to threaten to dive again. This would be risky, but
Pulls aggro.
We'll see if Licorice can go for it.
Yeah.
Health bars are too high. I don't
Hard to damage the turret too there as Graves because your shotgun is going to spread out, and the 2 tanks can take one of those hits just to send the tower aggro over. They still should be able to push in the minion wave though and get a little bit of tempo.
And look at Mithy. He's actually already swapping up to the top side, so not sure if he's trying to catch them off guard here with this. Will be spotted likely on the ward, but no, actually skirts it, so they don't know he's up here. And it is so critical, actually. You know, it may look funny that Zeyzal actually flashed out of the brush to do that stun, but doing that stops Mithy from being able to actually proc his Aftershock or pop his W for the damage reduction, because when you are AP Gragas, so much of your tankiness is actually in that rune and in your W, and if you don't get that off first, you are paper.
That paper gets burned down, but the power of the sun focused heavily onto it. That was a bit ham-fisted, sorry. Either way, it's going to be a blue buff now started up for TSM. Bjergsen going to grab that one without much issue. As long as he plays around the red buff of Grig, he's going to be just fine. Off he goes. Gold tied, no Drakes, no turrets. Farm has equalized that 1-kill lead.
Once again, though, a lot of the early gold that Bjergsen earns is put into the Malzahar tax, buys the QSS. First item here, all he else he has is a ruby crystal to his name. And trying to look forward to not dying to Malzahar ult coming through in the mid lane.
It's a good thing to look forward to.
I look forward to it every time Malzahar ults me. Clean that ult right off, walk away.
And ooh, a nice little knock up there as Hauntzer gets the better side of one of these trades. The farm lead, though, still 18 for Licorice's favor.
Yeah, really big, honestly. And you are kind of seeing a bit of a difference in the lane strength of these 2 players. Licorice playing the Ornn in all his matchups had been able to hold fairly even. This time against the Ornn, yes, with some jungle pressure on both sides, is kind of getting the better of Hauntzer, at least so far.
And this is a super interesting matchup, right? We have had Hauntzer, who always used to be the best North American top laner for native players. Now Licorice, new guy onto the scene, explodes onto Cloud9 in spring, earns Rookie of the Split in his debut, and this split in the running for MVP. Absolutely great performance from him.
Right now, the Ocean Drake going to be going over to TSM without much of an issue. No one's going to stop Grig, as the bot lane is holding equal. Actually, Svenskeren now heading down, but didn't do enough in time. 2,000 health left in this Drake, and Irelia's right behind them. Bjergsen could show up for this one, but so can the rest of the team. This is going to be the fight. They're going to look for the stun on the Goldenglue. He jukes away from it, and Svenskeren picks up the Drake, and the re-engage now comes in, looking to burn down Sejuani, but Grig is too tanky. Goldenglue will fall. TSM pick up that kill as a result of that steal.
Yeah, they just decided to make the call to give up on Goldenglue there. The rest of C9 not wanting to fight forward into that and potentially give up even more. I think that's the right call. If you can't burst down Zven on this Swain, it's going to be so hard to actually win that fight. So it's a kill for a dragon. Pretty decent trade overall.
In the end here, it does leave TSM with a sizable gold lead for the early game. But again, the regeneration provided by an Ocean Drake, so good for the laning phase here for Cloud9. They go aggressive once again.
Good body slam builds up the Aftershock, though, and there's no engage on the Mithy despite the stacks. Round 2 could be up. Aftershock is on cooldown for quite a while. It's more than a wave's length.
Definitely a potential now, you know, for Grig to make his way down to the bottom side. Such incredible playmaking potential on this Gragas. You can look for lane ganks on someone like Sejuani because the Gragas can body slam flash, knock even the Leona in. Then you have never moved from this Swain. You have the follow-up ultimate from Grig. So there is a lot of potential if they want to try to attack that lane.
All lanes for Cloud9, or the side lanes at least, pushing in pretty heavily, trying to create some space. So Svenskeren does have quite a few options to work with here on the Grave. Should be able to look for some sort of invade. Goldenglue in the mid lane, though, very different story. Because Bjergsen got another kill to his name and has been able to get the Sheen, you really have to respect the Irelia burst.
It gets to the point where the Irelia can basically just walk at you. Your only defensive ability kind of is that ultimate, and then he QSS's that, and he can just train you down with autos, despite the fact that he doesn't have a ton of damage built up. So Goldenglue is definitely just going to be trying to wave clear and waiting to play around his team with those team fights, you know, trying to be more of that utility wave clear guy.
Knocks off the passive, but not going for much more as Bjergsen. It gives Mithy the opportunity to find an explosive cast with that passive down.
Yeah, Grig is coming around from the bottom side, so they could try to make the call here to go for a dive.
Mithy goes back, but Grig is around, as you're saying. can ult over the wall. He's going to be almost in range for this one.
Goldenglue has flash. We'll see how quick his reactions are.
Okay, here comes us to C9, and they're all spotted, actually. All of them walked close enough for that control ward. They know it's a 4v1, so Grig's going to go for the recall, and he's not going to get found out here. Bjergsen knows to be safe. That's going to be nothing. Oh no, Grig is going to be
He's get out of there.
Jumps across. Mithy's here guarding. He's going to be okay. They knock down that ward.
A little game of hide and go seek.
Yeah. A quick stopwatch picked up now for Mithy. That's ticked over now. Ready for the control ward. Sneaky going to try to push him off.
And it is going to be the Stormbracer rush here for Sneaky, so we'll be going for that AD build on Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
Not too much of a surprise, has been kind of the standard as of late. And with that double marksman is going to be a really, really big damage threat. I think that the frozen target here, though, from Hauntzer is a pretty intelligent first buy, especially when you are up against that double marksman.
Svenskeren going to walk top. It is
here
through
we
a
go,
warp.
though.
They're going to go for the big play, or they go for the flash ult or anything to try to knock down Hauntzer. He's walking into range. There's the flash to get away. He knew it was coming.
Good flash there by Hauntzer. Even with a frozen heart and that amount of armor, not going to be able to survive that much damage in the gank. Now he will be flashless for the next possible fight. Top lane has been these slow increments of advantages for Cloud9, with Licorice just working away at Hauntzer, kind of taking away health bar chunks, taking away little cooldowns, and trying to get something for Cloud9 on the top side.
Yeah.
Hasn't really translated into anything significant.
Still a tied game. Gold actually identical right now. C9's to the credit, do have that one ocean break. They picked up something. That is, of course, itself paying forward in the CS numbers for the laning phase. So some of that actually directly tracked by the scoreboard.
Also going to be really interested to see how well Bjergsen can actually play in these team fights. You know, last time he was on that Irelia, they didn't lose, but here may be the play for Mithy.
Body slam, an early flash for Sneaky to get away. Zeyzal from the front line. He'll be tanking for a while, but they could still burn him down. He's going to try to live. Look for the re-engage. Explosive gas dissipates, and Bjergsen staying alive through the ignite, hitting the minions. He will just stay alive, and then flash in. They found one. Grig is down, looking for the knock of his Hauntzer, but finds nothing for it as Sven's forced to kite away.
All right, Cloud9, what can they do with this afterwards? Pushing in onto the turret. Barrel does explode on the minion wave, and TSM trying to clear it out with a lot of their abilities. With this turret being so high health as well, I don't think Cloud9 can actually do a lot of work.
Yeah, even with the Mithy and Zven not having their ultimates there, would have been such a tough dive to pull off, so they will reset. You can see Goldenglue, though, back to mid lane, pushing that out, so a good roam down from Cloud9. They do come positive on the play, but it is just the one kill and a little bit of turret damage.
Those TPs traded. None of those other ones done much for. A couple of flashes extra, though, C9 did use, so slightly down in resources next time around.
Take another look here. It looked like a pretty bad corner for Cloud9. That's why Sneaky flashes so early there once you get to the other side. Zeyzal's a bit more tanky on the Leona. He popped his aftershock, so he stayed in a bit, saves his fast for later. Bjergsen got extremely low. The TSM had to just retreat at this point, but you can't get away from Malzahar, and that's why Cloud9 keep bringing it. Goldenglue down the river, gets his ultimate off, and secures the kill for C9.
Taxman showed up, and Grig didn't have his QSS yet, so he's going to have to take that death. And only Bjergsen so far with that QSS. Likely going to be seeing more members buy it up. And last game, even very late in the game, Grig still did not have one. You know, at a certain point, it's okay to accept that you may be that target as long as the rest of your team is there to interrupt or to follow up.
Especially since this game, they don't have a Tom Kench on their team to try and rely on a teammate to do it. You kind of have to fend for yourself. C9, though, once again, retaining control over the Dragon Pit. This will be Ocean number 2.
It's going to give C9 a lot of uptime around the map. Any fight they win, they'll be back to full HP in almost no time, and we might see them get more objectives as a result. Safer rotations, fuller health bars, fuller mana bars.
It's a lot scarier to this game for Zven, because when you are playing without a QSS and you are against this Malzahar, you know, there is the potential that a Leona stun comes in that's followed up by the silence, followed up by the Malzahar ult, and you can theoretically die before you get that stopwatch off at all. You know, whereas in the last game with Cleanse and with that safety, it didn't feel like it was ever going to change.
Bjergsen, the walls. Zerf's going to go for the ult. QSS is back down, but here comes the rest of the team. Who's going to get more damage to this one? Stopwatch burn. Oh, look at the burst. It's a trade, though. And now they're re-engaged. They're looking for Grig. He does not. No, he does have a flash if he needs it. Gets away, stays alive. Licorice is here.
Yep, and the rest of Cloud9 have also joined in the mid lane. They can push on this turret. Sneaky and Zeyzal head up.
Turret taking damage down to the last few minions, though. They're going to let the tanks hit the turret shots. Ornn ult coming down, looking for the re-engage. They'll burn down the turret first, and the knockup will hit on the 3, but no one is here to take any damage. C9 grab their first turret of the game in mid lane.
Really nicely done there by C9. Licorice comes down. They go 1-for-1 in the 2v2, but Licorice shows up first. They use that for the turret pressure, and they are now up in the gold. So here it is once more. Bjergsen does have the QSS. Svenskeren is lying in wait and is going to start out this fight.
Bjergsen gets off the Malzahar ultimate with the ult of his own. QSS is that ult, but Svenskeren, when he dashes up, he got disarmed for a second by going through Bjergsen's ultimate. So they go down at the exact same time, 1-for-1. Still though, Licorice, the earlier roam, forces the flash out of Grig, allows him to get that turret.
And he's behind him, and T9 is actually roaming up. Surprise, it's a Poppy in the bush, but...
Assassin Poppy from Licorice.
Yeah, that Bomby Cinder, so much damage.
No Triforce yet.
He'll get there eventually. That's the right build, obviously. Either way, mid lane getting cleared, no problem now. Goldenglue having a pretty decent game as far as farm is concerned. Bjergsen has hit his power spike of Trinity Force, got that fairly recently, but has yet to find those kills with the item.
You can see on the player cameras how intense these guys are. The Game 5 pressure is fully in effect, and Cloud9 are getting hyped off of the lead they started to open up here with that first turret kind of opening up the map. Mid turret is so critical, allowing them to now get some of these deep wards you can see in the jungle.
And it's really a lot of pressure on Bjergsen here also, starting with 2 early kills on the Irelia. He's on this aggressive pick that he's been so good on. He needs to have a big impact on this game. If you're not effective on the Irelia in this one, that's it. You're going home. You're not going to be playing in the finals. And he's had the opportunities.
Yeah, Zven did not get 4 kills so early on in this game that he can output the same kind of damage on Swain as he did previously. So they are going to have to focus their efforts. I think you had a good point with the Gragas ultimate as well. There's so much variance in that champion and in the possible plays you can pull off.
All that time spent for Herald gave C9 a lot of time in the bottom lane. They knocked down bot out of it, hitting 2-2 right now, and Goldenglue waiting in the fog of war. If Mithy overextends, he will instantly die to the Malzahar, but it's Bjergsen who goes forward. He's got QSS, he's safe.
I think he's at a half.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing the AP style build, right? This could be something like a Knight's Vow. It also could be Proto Belt. I've seen that fairly regularly on support Gragas if they really want to all in on the playmaking. But again, then you have to be flawless with your engages. You have to be flawless with how you're playing these team fights, or you just get straight up insta-kill.
Licorice wearing down the top lane, now being answered by Zven, but gets a tackle and quite a bit of damage. And Licorice is already building magic resist. Oftentimes you see these plays. Hold on, we've got to fight towards the mid lane. A ult towards Goldenglue. Knocks off his passive. Maybe worth the
get
trade.
Out of there, though.
Bjergsen can flash for stuns.
He could ult flash here.
He's gonna get a speed off the shrine.
Goldenglue can flash for disengage, and no one will find him. Out he goes. That is a big cooldown now missing.
Goldenglue, it looked like he was playing with fire there, walking back into a dangerous spot, but he draws 4 members of TSM, uses their time, while his bottom lane takes a turret uncontested.
3 turrets to 0
it's
now.
4. Oh no, Licorice has to walk away. The turret will fall first, and there is no engage. This gold lead, 4,500 gold now.
Sneaky is getting dangerously close to this Rage Blade here. Only needs a couple hundred more gold, and he will be off to the races on this late game teamfight carry. Already has the support items purchased up here. We have the Zeke's convergence done as well. He's going to be a monster if they can't get to him.
TSM have their eyes on Sneaky, looking to lock him down with some of that crowd control. They have it all over. Every single champion will be able to lock somebody up in the team fight.
Yeah.
They won't have a Rage Blade hyper carry for themselves later in the game, though. So they need to focus on the next 10 minutes here. This will be very critical in the success of this composition.
And I'm really curious to see how Licorice in particular will play these team fights. Do you sit on your hyper carry Kai'Sa and try to use that steadfast presence to protect him from dive? Or are you diving deep and trying to, draw pressure to yourselves and create space that way? I think there's going to be some big choices here from in these fights.
Well, there's not really anyone for him to dive into. Most of TSM are frontline champions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can dive to find Mithy. The AP Gragas might be the squishiest guy.
Of course, keep in mind, plenty of stopwatches on TSM right now. Both the bottom laners have it. And the QSS, of course, makes Irelia a hard target as well, as Ornn, of course, the primary tank. Wait to see what happens though, as we've got this battle now, 3v1. Licorice hoping to find a way out of this one. Jumps towards the Drake, can't get the ult going anywhere. He's gonna try to flash the wall and does so. There will not be a follow, only an ult coming across, as Grig might try to chase in, but no, he's gonna stay alive. Meanwhile, Zven being chased out by Svenskeren.
Comes Malzahar.
Comes the knockover though, a great blast cone, the flash ult's gonna land. They might just have the damage and they will. A kill traded for Ocean Drake as TSM picks that up.
The Predator finds his prey, and Goldenglue locks him up for the kill. Cloud9 now can push on the top side. They've got minions to work with.
This turret is theirs with the Voidlings double marksman. That's gonna get knocked down so fast. They're actually pinging onto the inhibitor turret here. They want to keep the push.
They had time to go. TSM summoned the Herald for mid lane that cancel some of this, but Poppy's gonna defend that one. They're going now for the inhibitor turret, down below 2/3, down below 1/3. Do they stay though, because Irelia is here. They might have to let it regen. It's at 5 HP, it will fall to minion damage. No open inhib in the top lane, but Grig is coming.
Sejuani is ready, does have access to the ultimate.
Here's the TP, and Poppy is far away. They're both gonna TP to join. Here comes the fight, 5v5. Is this the one that ends it all? Grig getting away, burning down, trying to stay alive. 2 for 0, Cloud9, and they can chase to the open inhib. And 0-4 for Sneaky. They get Bjergsen. It's a 3 for 0.
They have the minions. They can end the game. I think C9 have done it. They are going to go to the finals.
Could the subs make it a 2-0 to close out the series? A very small wave in front of the Nexus. The Gragas will separate. Going for turret number 1. Zven and Mithy must defend against Cloud9 as the second turret falls. The respawn's in 15 seconds, and they've done it. Svenskeren and Goldenglue completed. It's the 3-2 victory for Cloud9.
Can you believe it? The miracle has been completed.
Cloud9 from last place to the finals in summer of 2018.
They break their streak of being knocked out by TSM. 5 VO5s in a row. Black and Blue has lost to Black and White. TSM, for the second time ever, are denied the finals, this time by their oldest nemesis in Cloud9.
And what a wild ride it has been for this team. 7 players utilized in this semifinal matchup. Even more over the course of summer. So many difficulties they've had to work through. But it was all for this moment, and they will be in finals. They have secured their spot.
It has to be an absolute dream come true here for Svenskeren and Goldenglue. Svenskeren taking down his old team. They kicked him off of TSM. He joins Cloud9. He knocks out his old team on the way to the finals. And Goldenglue playing up against the greatest player in NALCS history, historically, Bjergsen.
Oh yeah.
Comes down to the last 2 games. Elimination games. He wins them both.
A player known for choking. Goldenglue, known as one who could look good in practice and never good on stage. In his most important games ever, steps up, plays his role well, takes over 2 more wins.
Played his role well, took the crown strategy, picked Malzahar into FLICKR.
Got to give some credit as well to the rest of the squad. Sneaky and Zeyzal consistent throughout the series. Licorice in those last 2 games, so many key plays on the Ornn, on the Poppy. He was there when the team needed it. He had the better teleports, and Cloud9 are a deserving team.
Licorice is a North American all-star player.
Yeah.
For sure. This is his first year, and he has been outstanding.
I mean, the whole Cloud9 roster, there's so many North American players, which traditionally has not been the way to succeed in the NALCS. People talk about, you have to have these imports, you have to have these players coming in. It's Zven, it's Mithy, it's Bjergsen over on TSM. Licorice, Goldenglue, Sneaky, Zeyzal, Blabber, these guys, young players, were able to be very successful.
So Cloud9 into their 7th NALCS final. So many different iterations of this roster. Every time it has included Sneaky. He's been there the whole time around, even despite being subbed out for a little bit so far. They're still only at 2 titles. They haven't won the NALCS since 2014 spring. Every time they made the final since then, knocked out by TSM. This time, a new opponent, a new era. Never in 2018 as TSM now made the NALCS finals. Team Liquid will either defend their title or 100 Thieves will be back in the finals themselves. This time, though, for Cloud9 to see if they can win it. It is going to be so much hype. That other semi is tomorrow. But now to hear more about how C9 booked their trip to the finals, let's hand it off to Avali and the victorious top laner in support.
Thanks, guys. Licorice, Zeyzal, congratulations on the victory. You guys are going to go to your first NALCS finals. So, Zeyzal, how excited are you?
I'm pretty excited considering the start of the split and the journey to get here. I didn't feel that great about getting here, but finals are going to be great.
And Licorice, what about you? Tell me about that winning moment.
I mean, at the start of the split, like Zeyzal said, we were 10th place. Like a 2nd place finish to get a bye here was already crazy. And then like going to finals is just like amazing, actually. So I'm just so happy.
Well, run me through the entire series from your perspective, because you had Cloud9 fans at the edge of their seat in some of those games.
All right. Well, I've changed from a bit of a carry player to more of a tank, one trick. I only play Ornn.
Ornn God.
It was a bit rough for me. I made a couple mistakes. I'm not too happy with my game the first 3 games, or with my play the first 3 games, but after that, I think I really came through and had a strong finish.
Well, after game 3, you guys had Goldenglue and Svenskeren jump in. So how was that? What was that transition like?
I mean, bringing in subs in a best of 5 is always super helpful because they've been watching the games, so they can see like exactly what you've been missing and what the other team's been doing. So, it just gave us a lot of confidence because like we're switching things up, you know? We didn't come off a loss and then we're just like running it back with the same thing. We're switching up the players and it just feels like a whole new set.
Zeyzal, what did you think of the substitution?
I think that they actually added a lot of energy too, because after the first 3 games, especially when you lose 2 of them, everyone's kind of a bit down. Not to say we're out or anything, but it just adds a new momentum in a way that these 2 players are like fresh coming in while watching the games too.
And you had some really impressive Leona plays. We saw you going a little aggressive in there. So how confident were you coming into this series?
With Leona in general?
With Leona in general?
I was pretty confident with Leona. I blind picked it, so it's pretty sure I'm confident.
I knew you were going to win with it. Well, I want to ask you guys about your entire journey this split, because you have the potential to basically go from the worst team to the first team. So what do you think?
I'm excited. I hope that we win in the finals so that we can do the C10 to C1st, I guess. I don't really know how to...
And you guys are going to be playing against either Team Liquid or 100 Thieves. So who do you think you guys are going to face in the finals?
I think it's probably going to be Team Liquid. So, what do you think?
Zeyzal, do you think you could take them?
Take Team Liquid? Of course.
Of course, there you have it. Guys, congratulations again. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you very much. Later on, Avali will be sitting down with Svenskeren and Goldenglue to get a word from them as well. But gentlemen, in a huge back and forth 5-game series between 2 of the biggest orgs in NALCS history. These teams have met in the finals multiple times. TSM getting the better of C9 in the last 5 best of 5s that they have played. And for them to come out on top this time around, C9 in a 5-game series after the subs, oh my goodness, what a series.
The last time C9 had beaten TSM in a best of 5 was the spring finals in 2014.
Justice for
That's
C9
also
fans.
the first split Goldenglue played in the LCS. Coincidence?
I think not!
Oh, God.
my
This was
God.
such a crazy back and forth game, and I think over the course of it, you could see really TSM coming apart at the seams. It started very scrappy, you know, and you could see the nerves here. I think Zven has one bad misclick, and that kind of cost this entire dive, making sure that the aggro of the turret goes onto him right away because of the red buff burn, stops this from working. And this kind of stalled out a lot of the good top pressure that Licorice had built up for himself.
But we got the player come after this one, and Licorice actually
Was
kind of
smiling
it off, which I thought was a really good mental to have in this situation. I've seen so many other players in Game 5. You had a great sound effect that I can't replicate.
Something like that, if I recall correctly. I mean,
that's what Goldenglue would normally be doing when that dive happens.
Yeah, we talk about TSM coming apart at the seams, but those couple early plays actually made it look like maybe C9 was the team in trouble, but really they had the resilience to push forward and ultimately come back in this
Right,
game.
the fact that it was so scrappy, and then there was a sequence of events where after breaking mid-turret, TSM randomly kind of went to Rift Herald, lost their bot lane turret, sent way too many people bottom, Licorice starts chunking out top turret, and then they re-go back down to bot turret, grab the inner into top one. And then this is another play where it's just full on, it felt like TSM were out of it mentally. Their communication was completely off after like 15 minutes.
It definitely seemed like they were starting to get desperate, especially this play. They're just trying to chase them down after they lose their inhib power. I think they didn't have a lot of confidence that they would be able to win late game versus Kai'Sa. And a lot of their plays, especially mid lane, where they weren't able to kill Goldenglue in the 2v2s, they were just barely losing some situations, that, you know, things started to unravel, and then we see this quick finish.
As well as the play, though, I think one of the most exciting things about this series was the adjustments that each team had to make from game to game to game. Again, both in draft with the substitutions, the way that they're playing and adjusting their style within the game, you know, really trying to hammer down what is the best way of winning against my opponent today.
I think that's for me is the biggest takeaway from this is like, I don't think C9 wins this game or this series without what all the kind of crap they went through in the beginning of the split. Like the fact that Reaper and the organization went through so much criticism from the community. If they didn't make those plays, you're probably running, you know, Jensen, Svenskeren the entire time, and you don't have this second option to go to. And I think who knows how the regular season would have gone, all the kind of cascades from that early decision. I think I would point to that as the reason they're going on to the finals.
I mean, they said themselves.
Not the tilting practice, the fact they can change things up.
Yeah, they have kind of a second win now in the 7-man squad, and I think it kind of makes it difficult for teams.
We heard it from Licorice and Zeyzal themselves, right? The idea that, hey, we could be down in the series 2-1, but you've got two guys who have had the ability to watch the games from a different perspective, come in fresh-faced, you know, with a totally different mindset, and that kind of gives everyone a second win, regardless of the fact that they're behind.
Yeah, and so often in substitute situations, the sub feels very performance-based. I didn't feel like Jensen was playing poorly. I think Blabber had an off game one, but I was blaming the drafts for C9. But just the action of subbing the players re-energizes the team in general if you think both mid-jungle duos are close in skill.
Both competent, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the strategy they actually went for, too, was really different than what I was expecting. Goldenglue in Academy has been playing a lot of aggressive playmaking champions, and he took Malzahar twice, which is a neutralization pick that's going to work with your team. It's like the Crown Faker strategy where it's like, I'm not going to beat you, I'm just going to stop you from doing your stuff, and then my team will be better. And I think
right, we talked about the neutralization factor between Jensen and Bjergsen at the top of the day. We didn't talk about the Goldenglue neutralization.
The Goldenglue neutralization, it also takes a certain mindset to, like, be okay with that pick. And, like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't think everyone looks forward to, like, I'm going to play Malzahar.
Yeah, and it really seemed to kind of frustrate Bjergsen, especially in the game 5 when they weren't able to, like, fully snowball him, and he had to, you know, build QSS first, so he's delaying his Triforce. You know, they had a couple 2v2s where, you know, you're trading kills, which isn't what you want to do with Irelia. You want to just keep on winning lane, keep on hitting tower. And, yeah, they were able to fully neutralize Bjergsen.
Amazing.
Yeah, we'll expand on our discussion in just a bit. For now, though, we're going to throw it over to Avali, Goldenglue, and Svenskeren.
Thanks, guys. Guys, congratulations on that win, a full 5-game series. I mean, Goldenglue, first things first, tell me about the moment that you guys were both told that you would be put in.
Honestly, I was pretty nervous because the way that the series was going before you went in, it looked like it was going pretty good for us. We had a couple scenarios in the game 3 that the game suddenly turned away from us. So I had to get ready to play on stage very quickly because I was kind of expecting for us to 3-1 them at that point. So I was pretty nervous, and you know, I knew I had no losses to no backup, so it was a lot of pressure. Yeah.
And Sven, at what moment did you guys know that you guys were going to be put in?
I mean, basically it came to no surprise because me and Golden has been playing in the scrims with the main team, and Reboot has been telling us every time we're going to be put in if we go 0-2. Like if we get 2 losses, we're going to be put in. So I think me and Grayson's playstyle is just a bit more consistent, and the Silence can play more aggressively, kind of. So yeah, we knew we were going to get subbed in as long as the game went TSM's favor.
And it was a pretty intense match. If you guys had lost, you guys were out. So I know you mentioned that you were nervous, but Svenskeren, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I got a bit sad after we lost the game 3 because I kind of thought it looked like Jensen and Bauer were just going to smash them, right? So I got a bit nervous too, but yeah, I mean, Reboot prepared us for this case, so it was fine for me.
And this was actually also a bigger game for you as well, going up against your former team and ending their playoff run. So how important was the game to you?
It was definitely important. Both that was against TSM, and it was me back on playoffs again. Like, since I got subbed out during the regular split, I just took a lot of time to just try to improve my individual skill. And in Academy,
I had a lot of time to just like play for myself, kind of. And you can see in these games where I saw the games before I got subbed in, and I could see that TSM not really doing anything proactive. So I could just take a lot of time to just farm up on Graves and just become super strong. So I would just be another carry in the late game. So yeah, we just kind of knew they weren't really doing anything proactive. So we just had to like scale.
And I know you guys are the NA World Champions for Academy. I know we meme about it a lot, but what did Academy really do to help you guys prepare for today, Goldenglue?
I would say the thing that it's helped me the most with is just playing a best out of 5, because BO5s are exhausting relative to BO1s. Like playing one game quick, you kind of have like your set ritual for a best of 1, but for a best of 5, it's a lot different because you could be playing for up to like 5 hours. So the experience that I got playing in Academy and best of 5s was, I think, pretty useful for coming in. And even though we didn't play a full BO5, we still played multiple games. So I thought it was pretty useful to have that experience.
Svenskeren, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's just more stage experience. Like, even though it was against weaker opponents, we still get to play on stage, and every game on stage is different than playing at home. So definitely just more practice for us.
And what's your guys' working relationship with both Blabber and Jensen, and how do you guys help each other grow?
I would say our working relationship is pretty good with them. We have different champion pools, slightly different champion pools, and like slightly different play styles. So we get to learn from the alternate play styles that they have. So I think it's pretty useful for both them and us to be able to learn from each other's play style. And I think it's pretty nice working with Jitten, because I think he's like the best mid, if not the best, one of the best mids. I think we probably have both of the best mids on Cloud9, so it's really fun working with him.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, working with them is just pretty nice, I guess, because we have kind of, before I got subbed out from Blabber, we had a super different playstyles, because he just plays super aggressively and he doesn't really think about what he does. So the opponent team can't really react to it because he just goes ham, right? So definitely something I've learned a bit from him is just like take more risks and just not really think too much about what to do.
And I actually hunted down your mom this time, and we did a quick hit with her, and she was just talking about how proud she was of you. And what's it like? She watched you in Academy, but she also watched you today in the LCS semifinals. So what's having that support like?
Yeah, I mean, when I first walked on the stage, the first person I saw and heard, it was very loud. It was her screeching, you know. It was it was pretty fun, and I'm glad I got to play when I got to play 2 best of 5s when she was here, and she's also gonna come out to Oakland to support me there too. So it's been really great.
Well, you got to give her a show. Who do you guys think you guys are going to take on in finals in Oakland next week?
I think it'll probably be Team Liquid. It should probably be a pretty close series. I think they're both pretty good teams, but their matchup against each other, Team Liquid has come out on top more often, so that's who I'm going to go with.
Same thoughts, Team Liquid?
Yeah, double F1v9.
And I want to beat them in finals, so I hope they make it.
Double F 1v9, beat them in finals. Guys, thank you and congratulations again. For more, let's hear back from the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. TL across the board is the call for the C9 guys. That's who they think they're going to meet in the finals. Of course, that semi coming up tomorrow. But I want to continue our conversation about these guys, this squad that we'll be seeing in the first place match next week in the Oracle Arena. I mean, what a massive transition this team has made. And hearing the way they talk about the way they've utilized their time away from the main roster, right, in the academy scene, saying, hey, we're using that as stage time. It's a different type of game than you play when you're at home. We're utilizing the best of 5 practice that we've gotten in the playoffs to help us with that, mental fortitude and stamina when it comes to these best of 5s. I really like to see what this C9 organization has done over the course of the year to build a roster that is larger than just 5.
I think the other thing that they mentioned in there that I found really important was being able to go into academy and, like Svenskeren was saying, play greedier. Like it's hard to experiment in a team full of people who are losing matches in the LCS and say, like, I want to try this thing to be like a different way that I'm going to try approaching the game and convince people that that's what you're going to be able to do. But I think in the academy scene, it's much easier for him to be like, I'm obviously a veteran, I've been around a long time, and I'm now going to use my time here to practice more greedily and play less for the team a little bit. And I think you could see that came out here where he's like, they're not doing anything in the early game. I'm going to pick Graves, which is a scaling champion. And then that helped, that time in academy helped.
Yeah, and it's great to see as well that it's not so much that they're competing for the starting spot, which, they kind of are, but they're really working together and taking from each other's play styles to just better their own personal play and then make it easier for the team to win.
Yeah, helps when you win.
Yeah, it does help when you win. Of course, their opponents from today, TSM, they're not done just yet. Even though they suffered the loss here today, they will play in that 3-4 matchup against the loser of the Team Liquid 100 Thieves series. But I do want to talk about this squad once again because there's so much expectation around this org. They find themselves in probably a disappointing 3-4 matchup, but their season is far from over.
Well, it's the first time they've ever played in the gauntlet, so this is going to be a huge change-up from them, as well as the fact that if you look at how championship points work, like it's actually not the craziest thing in the world to have a C9 TSM rematch potentially in the gauntlet. So for TSM, this is uncharted territory.
Yeah, it's not what they expected this year. It's a continuation of the story of blowing up the roster, not paying off. Not only have they never not been in a summer final, they've never been in the third place match, right? And they're going to still be in the same situation. Funnily enough, you actually do get second chances, especially in Summer Split, where if they make it to Worlds and they make it out of group stage, they're going to say it was worth it still.
How many times can you keep saying that, though?
They will say it if that happens. It's just becoming,
exactly.
becoming less and less likely by the day because I think coming into this series, I did predict C9, but I predicted a C9 3-0. So the fact that TSM won 2 games, I was actually saying was mostly due to some bad drafts from C9. TSM fell apart in Game 5. 23-minute loss, fast to the series when the pressure was the highest. And that's not a good omen moving forward. When the pressure really turns up, it seems like this team falls back on some of their worst habits.
Yeah, collapse just a little bit. You got a final point here?
Yeah, this was a series. I thought they overcame a lot of this stuff when it came to the Echo Fox series, and it was, I'm sure it's going to be rough for them because this was a really tough loss. I don't know really how they're going to rebound, but they really have to because they do have important games coming up if they want to make it to Worlds. You know, we'll see kind of what mental resilience they have.
For TSM, a tough loss. For C9, a great victory. Claiming one spot in the finals takes grit and determination that must be exhibited by all members on the map. But one player consistently stepped up to earn Cloud9 rather the win, and that's why we're awarding Licorice Player of the Series.
I think consistent was the key word there. Anytime you have a back-and-forth series like this, it's the kind of rock of the team, and Licorice was that on the Ornn. Always finding big engages for the team, usually doing pretty well in laning phase. So it was a long series. People had some higher moments, some lower moments, but he was the guy who was always performing all 5 games.
Yep, his Ornn play in all the games was like really standard, really great play. You know, solid throughout the series. It was kind of funny that we were talking about getting him off Ornn, and TSM did that for them, and then he performed even better on the poppies.
He took the training weights off.
Yeah, they took the training weights off for him, and he really showed them why, this guy is a great player.
Yeah, I mean, Ornn is the 7th most picked top laner on patch 8.16 across the world. Like, he's not this
that
super crazy thing that you must take away, but in the end, TSM actually thought they needed to do that to Licorice, and then he just smashed Ornn with Poppy.
Well, and he himself said that he did not feel so great about his first 3 games, but in that Game 4, Game 5, and we kind of saw in his stats there on that graphic that's where he really turned it on as a player. So kudos to him again in his first year and in his first big playoff run, now moving to the finals. That's quite an achievement. With only one more match before we ship off to the Oracle Arena, let's check back in with the bracket presented by Jersey Mike Subs. With their win, Cloud9 will fight it out for the title, while TSM plays in Oakland on Saturday in the 3rd place match. And they're going to see both teams in the Oracle Arena, so if you want to go check them out, pick up your tickets for the Summer Finals weekend at lulesports.com/tickets. Each of their opponents will be determined in tomorrow's semifinal, which pits the reigning champions Team Liquid versus their opponent from the previous final in 100 Thieves. I want to stop down and talk about that series for just a quick moment, as it's a big one.
Every single player predicted Team Liquid. I think Mark and I will probably predict Team Liquid tomorrow. There's a lot of history that goes into this.
Now you don't have to watch
the trio, the other stuff.
I don't know.
But you never know what's going to happen, Dad.
Hey, the prediction pineapple, neither of you got it.
What's funny is technically Jat and I were more right than Solo because we said T9 would win.
Yeah, but
he was the only one who thought the series would be close.
It'd be close, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe I should just hand this to Solo and we'd be done with it.
But he wasn't right.
The pineapple stays, unacquired.
It does. It stays. But yeah, I do think most people are looking at tomorrow as a lopsided series. But again, I want to talk about kind of the matchup of those teams just real briefly in terms of, to me, 100 Thieves falls into more of that TSM bucket, the slow, controlled play style, who wants to go late. Team Liquid, how do we expect them to attack that and expose it if we expect it to be so lopsided?
Well, I think both teams have a pretty similar primary carry in their 80 carries, but we just have seen historically Doublelift gets the better of Cody time and time again, and that makes it very difficult when you match up in terms of your strengths, but one team's just stronger at those. And so I think someday might be the X factor a little bit people are looking at, but it does feel like you're putting so much weight on him then.
Yeah, Sunday really needs to be the guy tomorrow if they're going to want to go over the hump, because I know that 100 Thieves likes to play slow, they like to play late game, but, Doublelift is the late game AD carry, and I think he'll be able to, pull his weight when it gets to that point. But if Sunday can, kind of have that MVP type of performance, then I think they can win.
A bunch of first team All-NA-LCS players in tomorrow's semifinal, so we'll see which one of those can perform on the day. Now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more of the NALCS. Good night.
Will Cloud9 and their roster of hopefuls reclaim a shot at their reign? Or will TSM chance reign supreme?
We're going to beat them 3-0. With every day and every series that we get to play, I'm one step closer to being back on the final stage.
Speaking of bolts coming off, though, a knockup there. There could be nowhere to go, and Hauntzer's going to fall.
Oh, Akali. 1 HP, nice.
Look at the damage from Sneaky. Does get burned down. TSM winning yet again. Zeyzal's going to drop. Licorice now left alone. A triple kill for Bjergsen. Outside of turret range, and he's going to go for the channel. He's going to knock back only the Braum. Not as Sneaky. He finds the snipe.
Okay, I'm on. I'll flabber. I ult flabber. Hit Sion.
They look for number 4. A double knockup by Licorice. They're going to find number 5. Grig will indeed fall to the palm. Cloud9 strike back.
We're going to win, by the way. Nice.
Swain has found his second. The Blabber's going to fall for number 3. Zven's wiping the floor with this one. He's found the 4th.
Nice.
Oh!
You're actually dead. Oh, nice. Keep running. What do we do? Reset right away. Oh my god.
Jensen buys a bit of time. Can he get that kill, though? He's looking for it. He's going to get Grig, but a trade kill, a double out for Zven.
Think you can have
TSM are a game away from the finals.
Are you ready for it, Chris? I'm ready for it, bro. I'm ready for it.
The first playoffs, let's fucking make it count, bro. Make it count.
Dude.
And the Ornn horn sounds. There's no way out for Zven. The flash for the knockup. Is it enough to chase him down? It is.
Bjergsen just walked into Svenskeren up against the wall.
For the flash forward, and Bjergsen gets a kill. The trade back, though. A huge knockup. Can they secure them? And Cloud9 will.
We're going to game 5, baby.
It all comes down to this.
Deep breath. He knows how to find his little calm spot.
They can put some damage in the flash forward. They're going to knock down Svenskeren. First blood is traded back by Licorice. Meanwhile, Mithy's going to get found down for a stun into root, into burst damage, and the bot lane is alive for Cloud9.
I got him. I'm going to get him.
I'm matching. I'm basing so I can TB.
Finish him.
Nice.
Is this the one that ends it all? Grig getting away, burning down, trying to stay alive. 2 for 0, Cloud9, and they can chase to the open and him. And on 4 for Sneaky, they give Bjergsen. It's a 3 for 0, and they've done it. Svenskeren and Goldenglue completed. It's a 3-2 victory for Cloud9.